Do you eat collard greens?
Collard greens.
So you don't know what collard greens are? The green leafy things people put on their rice and stuff, like collard greens. Yo, the disconnect is real. This is why we can't let these traditions die. Cause my son sitting here telling me he don't know what collard greens are.
That's my fault though, because as a chef, I really don't cook soul food.
Cooking is my specialty. Getting dirty in the kitchen like ODB. Turning these groceries into delicacies. The Carolina cook got the recipes. Carolina in the building. I say Carolina in the building. No, I'm not a Gamecocks fan or a Clemson fan or none of that. Not really into sports or nothing like that. I'm just repping the states today. And I'm going to be cooking a staple, man, of the states. Like, if your pocket's low on greens, this is the next best thing, man. Nah, you can't buy nothing with these. But if you cook them up right, you probably could barter with somebody for something valuable. Hey, man, I'll slide you some of these greens for that car right there. Down south, old school, when they say vehicle, they don't really say vehicle. They say vehicle. They put a W on things like the Germans do, you know? Like the Germans would say, put a V on, put a W on Volkswagen, like Volkswagen, I think they do, if I'm correct. But down south, the old school would say vehicle. I'll give you some of these greens for that vehicle right there. I'll give you 3 bags of this. I'll give you 3 bags of these greens for that vehicle right there. 3 bags, not 3, 3. Yeah. So deep south, man, when I think back on how my grandma them used to talk, like, boy, Guan over there. Yana Guan, and stuff like that. I didn't know until now that they were speaking like Jamaican patois. I didn't know it. Like the Geechee, Gully, or whatever you call it, Geechee, Gullah, Geechee, whatever language is close to Jamaican patois. And when I started studying patois, or patois, that's when I realized that what they were speaking was close to that language, you know, because people came into the Carolinas, you know, and was dropped off on the islands like Charleston and stuff like that, you know. So they still had that patois and all that stuff going on that they spoke. But anyway, so I'm going deep down south today, and I'm going to make collard greens the way that my mama used to make it. I don't know what kind of seasoning she used to use because she's no longer here. I didn't learn any of that from her. But I'm going to give y'all a quick story before I get into this. Just being around my mama cooking, I never cooked anything other than what we used to play around in the house and cook, like pancakes and stuff like that, little simple things. But I never really tried to cook a meal until I became a man and cooked the meal for my kids and stuff like that, and my family at the time. I remember I cooked some turkey legs, some
wings.
butter beans.
They were wings.
And rice and some macaroni and cheese. That was the first meal I ever cooked. And man, it came out splendid, man. Then after that, I cooked the family meal. I cooked the family meal for Thanksgiving. I think it was some hens and, you know, typical Thanksgiving spread. And to the day my grandmother died, she would talk about how good that Thanksgiving meal was, because just because cooking was in my blood and I grew up around it. You know, grew up around the look good, smell good, taste good. It was already automatically in me. So the first time I jumped on the stove, boom, it was there. It was already there. And then, of course, when I took culinary school, it added training. Now, I'm not going to lie, culinary school that don't know much about seasoning like down south do. But their cooking techniques was on point. So I learned a lot of cooking skills that enhance what I thought I knew, you know. Just like when I went to barber school, thought I could cut hair until I learned technique. So sometimes you can know how to do something, you can be a great cook, a good cook, but when you learn technique, it enhances what you already know or what you already been doing. But anyway, long story short, y'all, South Carolina stand up. Y'all know what it is. We about to cook some collard greens up in here. Where my receipt at? Where my receipt at? Let's see. Hear ye, far and near. It is I, Chef Anthony Albrittain of Carolina. $15.76 is all that it took for me to buy these collard greens and some turkey necks that I'm gonna put in it, because collard greens without the meat is so incomplete. I don't understand how people just boil greens with no meat. Now, we'll be trying something new that I never tried before. I'm gonna cut peppers up in my greens. I never did that before. But my mom's greens would be meaty. Cabbage, meaty. Beans, meaty. Always some type of meat in there, whether it was ham hocks, pigtails, turkey necks, whatever it was some type of meat in there, where the beans would be a meal by itself with some rice, because the meat was already cooked in, man. So let's get into it, man, and let's do it the deep, dirty Southern way, man, and put some meat off in them collard greens, man. Let's go.
All right, I'm going to start by cutting some orange bell peppers, yellow and red. I'm doing this more so for the color presentation.
We're going to bring some beef cooking stock to a boil. We're going to heat up some oil. All right, and once that oil is heated, I'm pretty much going to blacken or sear some turkey necks in the oil. I'm using a wok because I like the heat distribution of the wok. And you can give them a nice little toss and a roll in the wok, you know, versus trying to, you know, flip them over in a regular pan. All right, let's hit these necks a couple times. Black pepper, a little salt, garlic powder, onion powder, a little more to season on. Add some hot water to the cooking stock, and of course check periodically as your greens are cooking to see if you need to add more water. All right, now that we got it rolling to a rolling boil, we're gonna add the greens to the pot. Don't worry about if it's seeming to be overflowing in the pot, because as these greens cook, they're gonna reduce.
Now I'm going to season the greens with the same things you saw me season the turkey necks with. You want to season everything a little bit at a time, because it's easier to make adjustments, because you can't take seasoning out once you over season something.
All right, my turkey necks have basically almost reached the desired sear. Now that I got my desired sear, I'm going to go ahead and add these turkey necks to the greens. We're going to reduce the heat, and we're going to cover. If the top fits the pot, it ain't a country kitchen. Y'all ain't gonna lie, it's hot up in here. Yeah, y'all can see that country box fan behind me. What y'all know about the box fans, man? Yeah, I'm in this hot little mobile kitchen. I just want to say, man, collard greens. Ooh, collard greens smell. Collard greens smell a little bit like bowel movements. Yeah. Yeah. You walk up into somewhere where some collard greens is freshly cut, you can be like, whoa. Ooh. Yeah, you're going to think somebody handled their business. But man, right now they're cooking. And as they're cooking, man, it smells a whole lot better in here. Yeah. Okay, y'all, I like the way this is looking, so I think it's time to go ahead and add these peppers. All right, get to smell them peppers doing their thing already. We're going to add a little more water, just a little more. For some reason, I like to put Worcestershire sauce on my greens. Gonna hit it with a little bit of hot sauce, even though some people put hot sauce on it after it's served. Add a little vinegar to your greens. Just a little bit. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of sugar. Some salt. Let them go for a few more minutes. Ooh, looky. Now let's get us a good presented plate going. Make sure the color of those peppers are popping. Now let's get a nice piece of meat. Old school, call it pot liquor. Old school Southerners back in the day called this pot liquor. So let's get that pot liquor on there. Stick a spoon off in there. There you have it. Southern collard greens, man, with peppers. Work it. Now let's give these greens a taste. I never had them with peppers before, so this is new. You know, some country folk get that hot sauce. Dab a little on there. That was not a little dab. That was a little too much. Duh. See all that meat and stuff? Like, these are greens that you can eat by themselves, or with some cornbread, or with some rice, man. Look, there's enough meat in there. You don't really need nothing else. Straight meat. Turkey neck about as big as my neck. Winter, collard green dinner. Like, comment, share the love, and subscribe. And remember, if you're not happy, you just might not be eating right. Don't play with me. You see how that's setting off in there. You see all of that meat up in there, man. I'll tell you what, this is my first time actually eating naked collard greens by themselves. You know, I really should have did my taste on these tomorrow, because as they sit, you know they're gonna taste better tomorrow than what they do right now. I didn't even let them rest after I cooked them. I just ate them straight out of the pot. But you want to let your food rest so that those flavors can marry into that food. And of course, when it marinates and rests overnight, it's going to be totally better the next day when you warm that plate up for work in the morning or whatever you got to do. Liketh, shareth thou the love, and subscribeth unto my channel, and smiteth that notification button. Thank ya.